Hi, my name is Ken Hughes. Welcome back to what is part 2 of a 3-part series all around Taylor Swift and the Eras Tour and the modern consumer values and consumer experiences that are coming up in our little microcosm of consumer values that you, your brand and your business need to understand if we are better at connecting with our customers. So it's kind of like a masterclass from Taylor Swift on customer experience. Part 1 was all around demand, how you create demand for your brand and product, and the link is here if you want to have a look at that video previously. So we looked at this one woman, one brand responsible for $12 billion of consumer spending all around the world during a time of recession and interest rate hikes and cost of living crisis, but people do have money, they will spend it on what they want. And we also talked about the tribal belonging that Taylor Swift has built, this idea of collective consumerism, which is what part 2 here is going to be about. I want to talk about how she has built a brand that has kind of dissolved the space between me and we. And so the fans and Taylor both collectively own the brand, and there are lots of rituals. And so we're going to look at this through a lens of anthropology and sociology today. We're going to look at behaviors that are evident because a brand has invested so heavily in customer experience, and they now all are collectively involved in the consumption of the brand. So the first thing I want to talk about is what's written here on the set is called Taylorgating, and this comes from an American word called tailgating, which is the behavior that happens at large-scale events. To understand this, we have to go back about 100 years, where people would travel to see a football game and then arrive early, and they would sit in the car parking lot or outside in the grass, they'd have some food, and they would go to the game. Obviously, with the advent of the automobile and the suburban barbecue grilling culture that happened in the 50s in the States, this became bigger and bigger, and people would bring their station wagons or their pickup trucks to the car parks outside. They would lower their tailgate, which is where the word comes from, to use as a bench or a table. They would eat on that, they would cook on that. And what happened slowly was that this moment, before the event, became almost as important as the event itself. There's a sense of ritual, a sense of coming together of community. Maybe you're a fan of one football team and the other fans are there. There's some rivalry, some friendly rivalry. There's also meeting your friends and family. There's being part of one community, all gathered together in one space to celebrate this game, this football game. And so the tailgating part of it used to happen for an hour or two before the event, and now it happens kind of 5 or 6 hours before the event. Some people even arrive the day before, and it's a big party. It's a party where people drink and they eat and they share stories, and most importantly, they're taking part in a ritual that bonds them together as a collective group of community before they even go in to experience the football game. Some people never even, by the way, get to the game. It's just drinking and eating in the car park. And so tailgating is a huge American thing. It has kind of been confined to event behavior into the States. It's not really an international thing. But so tailorgating is the same thing. It's fans, starting the consumption of the event prior to the actual kickoff of the concert. But there's a big difference, because what happened, because the tickets were so difficult to get, most Swifties, most fans didn't get a ticket. Only about 10% of people can get a ticket in any country to go to the event. And so what happens to the other 90%? Well, usually they would have stayed at home, but these Swifties travel to the event. So they're turning up to Taylorgate, but they don't even have a ticket. They're not actually going to go into the event. They're just having a collective experience outside the stadium. And it started small, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 outside each stadium. And there was a tipping point. On May 13th, 20,000 fans turned up outside the Philadelphia Stadium to sing along to every song. And if you watch the video, you'll get a sense of how big this is. Have a look at this. So there, you might think, oh, look, I'm looking at some fans singing her songs. No, you're looking at a visual representation of collective consumerism, a visual representation of tribal belonging, of meaning, of significance. This brand, this Taylor Swift experience means something to these people. And by coming together, there's a joy, there's a collective consumption moment. And this is where tribal belonging and ritual and brand loyalty and customer lifetime value, all the things we want for our brands and businesses, is built. So what you're looking at is a visual representation of all the consumer and customer experience work that Taylor Swift has done over the years, all coming good, where you've got 20,000 people, the biggest ever outside a stadium gathering that we've ever seen in the entertainment industry. And now, of course, it's become a ritual. So every city that she goes to, the tailorgating piece is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And of course, this causes a nightmare for cities trying to organize these events, because usually we have a 60,000, 70,000 person stadium, stadium, and all the logistics around getting that crowd in and out, they're all well designed because we've been doing it for years. But what we haven't been doing is moving those 67,000 people in and out, while at the same time having 20,000 people outside the stadium where there are no sanitary facilities, there are no food and beverage facilities. So now when Taylor comes to town, cities have to start planning for this little mini festival that pops up for about 10 or 12 hours. And of course you have to feed and water people, you have to give them sanitary, and so the expense of a city hosting Taylor has gone up a little bit. But don't remember, part one, she does deliver 60 to 70 million of spending every time she comes to town, so it's not a big deal. But the issue is, how big is Taylorgating going to get? So because it's now become a ritual, it becomes associated with the brand, it becomes a life of its own. The fans now own this. The fans own the idea that I'm turning up and we're going to do this together, and the together bit's the really interesting part. You have an engaged and empowered consumer who thinks that they belong, and if they're not there, you're missing out on the experience. There's a bit of FOMO in this. Now, some of the stadiums have tried to stop this. The Met Stadium in New York famously banned all people from entering their car parks without a ticket. So if you had a ticket, you can come in and go to the concert, but you cannot tailgate outside. Yeah, the tailgaters just moved 20,000 people. They took over a shopping mall, they took over the streets all around the perimeter, and so they will not be stopped. You can't stop people enjoying a brand experience. That's the important space that we want to step into as brands and businesses. The second thing I want to talk about is the friendship bracelets. So there's a famous lyric in one of her songs from the Midnights album about making friendship bracelets and enjoying the time. In fact, let's pop the lyric up here for you to sing along to if you would like. And just by writing that one little lyric, now Taylor Swift hasn't made this happen. This has happened organically because of the tribal belonging that her fans feel they're part of. They started making friendship bracelets and bringing them to the Eras tour. So now we're talking about the ticket holders who do get enter the stadium. They make the friendship bracelet and they bring maybe 20, 30 and they trade them. So this is like kind of spring break beads. It's a badge of honor. You've been to the concert, you've traded them with other Swifties, they've given you theirs, you've given them yours. And there's a whole culture around friendship bracelet production. So for weeks before on their social media, they will show their manufacturing of the friendship bracelets. They will film they're giving them to each other at the concert. Then they have a little jar, or they all have little keepsake boxes of the friendship bracelets they got at the Eras tour. And so again, what we're looking at is ritual, and ritual is really interesting. Because anthropologically, like if you're studying culture and you're studying behaviors, an anthropologist will tell you that one day observing ritual will give you more meaning, more significance, more understanding than observing 30 days of ordinary life. What we do in ritual is very, very significant. And so what's happening here is that the fans are starting to own the product. So yes, they're going to the concert, but they're creating other moments around the concert that are theirs. So again, going back to this, it's not about a me experience, it's about a we experience. We're all here collectively consuming Taylor Swift, and that bonds us together, and we're now part of a big brand. It's the same reason Harley Davidson riders have the tattoo on their skin. They've tattooed the brand logo on their skin because they feel that they belong, and the friendship bracelets are the same. And we've seen celebrities getting involved, trading bracelets. We've seen Taylor Swift receiving bracelets herself, and this has now become a thing. And again, this isn't driven by the brand, this is driven by the collective. And so those two things, they're ritual behaviors that are there because of the investment in customer experience that Taylor Swift made for 10 years around being genuine, authentic, real, collaborative, being accessible. And now the fans feel that they own the brand. So who owns the brand? Does Taylor own the brand? Not really. She produces the music, the videos, the concerts, but actually the fans own the brand, and somewhere in the middle, there's this wonderful collective collaborative space. And that is the space that you want your brand and business to be in, because once you get that, you have an empowered consumer who sells your product for you. I was skiing a few months ago with my teenage kids. We were sitting down in a cafe having a break on the pistes, and there was about a 24, 25-year-old snowboarder who sat down at the table opposite us with a big Red Bull tattoo on his neck, really prominent place. And I started thinking, wow, it's really interesting. Like, he hasn't chosen to put a Fanta, a Sprite, or a Coca-Cola tattoo on his neck. He's not saying, I love soft drinks. What he's saying is, I belong to this tribe. To him, Red Bull is something of significance, it's of meaning, it's counterculture, it's X Games, it's edgy. It's not about what's in the can. The brand is his tribe. And that's where you want to get to. You want to get to a feeling where your consumer feels that they belong to a tribe. And you build that through excellent customer experience on a continuous basis, giving them more than they expect, delight and excite, all those things I talk about all the time. We're still all waiting for Eras tickets. Here are 2 tickets to the Swift to Eras tour. Look at these. Ooh, are you jealous? Are you jealous? Yeah, you should be, because I made these myself. That's just aluminium foil there at the end. It's about as much chance as I have to get actual Eras tickets. Firstly, they're all digital anyway these days. Let's all hope that the gods smile on us and we actually somehow are the 5 or 10% who get Eras tickets to be inside the stadium. But if we don't, I'll see you all outside for Taylorgating. Bring your beers. Until next time, I'm Ken Hughes.